Yeah, we're live.
All
Yeah.
right.
Hello.
Hi, lady.
I'm by ourselves right now.
It's all good. I'm waiting for my notification to
I got
come up
my
on my laptop.
notification. I got my notification.
At least it's not
Okay.
repeating this time for me.
Let me refresh on
I
my
can't believe
laptop.
I can't believe I'm actually on
Hey,
my
Lefa.
device. Hey, Lita.
Yeah, this is okay.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Lisa. Okay, there it is. All right.
Are you okay now? You ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna turn it down. All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. Right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what we really wanted to do was talk about things that was they should have done, they didn't do, that type of thing, and a general chat about what we can do going forwards to help find justice and to just expose everything for what it is, when it comes to helping everybody understand how they need to protect themselves, what they need to look for. And it's not all about, it is about finding justice for the Kenneka 100%, but there's so much more that we can use this for, when it comes to helping other people realize what's going on around them. It's very important for us to protect the young women, especially, that get caught up in this and they have no way of getting out because of the
Right.
power that they feel is over them, which we they don't realize their own power, basically. But we'll get more into that. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, which I think Kerenszharris can go into a little bit more, is this what I've got up here now, and it's about someone who was actually murdered, but they had no autopsy done at all, and it was classed as a suicide. They exhumed their body and then examined the body and realized it was a homicide. And this is the sort of thing that it happens, and it happens regularly. But it's interesting to see that they didn't do any autopsy on this person at all before they buried this person, and it was classed as a homicide after they exhumed their body. I think it should be standard procedure to do an autopsy, especially if someone has, if it was a homicide, there must have been things in place that showed that it was a homicide. It can't have been, if it looked like a suicide, there must have been things in place. There was probably no forensics done, nothing. They've done no autopsy. And this is similar to the Kenneka Jenkins case, and what I believe certain things within this article have happened and crossed over into the Kenneka Jenkins case. But I'm going to let Kerenszharris talk a bit more about this. She's done a little bit more research than I have. So I'm going to pass it over to her and let you have a listen to what she has to say.
Okay. Well, in Cook County, the medical examiner of Cook County, as you know, the doctor that they hired, 218 of his autopsies were bogus and are being reinvestigated. Now they have to go back and conduct thorough autopsies on all those bodies that he examined. And so far, it's a total of approximately or roughly 10 bodies that they found was wrongful death determinations. So this is not a joke. This is not funny, and it happens before. Me, I don't understand why Cook County didn't get shut down, because they have a history of putting out bogus autopsy information. And keep in mind, this is the medical examiner office that had Kenneka Jenkins' body. Did this doctor conduct her autopsy? No. But the female that did, the one that was in charge, she has been sued before for what? Bogus autopsies, falsifying documents and information. So this gets really deep. It's really serious. The mayor of Rosemont needs to be recalled. And if I lived in that state, I would recall him. I would remove some judges from their seats. I would remove just a host of people, just go through and clean house, because if you are not going to stand for justice and you're going to let this stuff occur and keep going on, then you're out of here. You out of here. It's got to be people over profits. It's crazy.
I'd like to interject real quick, Karen, and bring up something that I find very interesting is this, like you said, this isn't the first time that the Cook County medical examiners have had issues. In 2012, I read that there was an issue where they came in late night and found all of the employees there sleeping and watching TV on the job. And they got in trouble for this. And I wasn't able to catch into what ended up happening with that, but, they were caught and there was ramifications. And I'll have to follow up on that and read more and let everyone know the next live.
That is crazy. And it's and something else I wanted to say was there's so many police officers in Cook County, in Chicago, that are doing so many corrupt things. Who polices the police? Who actually, do you understand what I mean? If the police are so corrupt, they're as corrupt as the public. These corrupt police are telling the public they're doing something wrong. But who's telling them? There's no one policing the police. I know it sounds crazy to say police the police, but in such a corrupt...
No, it doesn't. It makes sense.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it makes sense.
Who polices the police? I mean, I found another article, if I can find it, where I think even Zillionaire had it up on his channel about the police officers being involved in sex trafficking.
Yes.
And they're the people that are supposed to stop the sex trafficking, but they're the people you're going to help you stop sex trafficking. That makes no sense.
Basically, how I see it is basically the police and Cook County as a whole has just said, we're going to make our own rules. We're going to do what we want, and let's see if anyone's going to do anything about it.
Yes, and keep in mind that Rosemont. Keep in mind that the city of Rosemont. Now, I have to piggyback off that. And hello, Margot. I see you in the chat.
Yes.
Much love to you.
Much love to Margot.
Yeah. Margot. How are you? But yeah, it's just, for me, the police are so... I've never, ever, ever done an investigation like this and found the police to be so corrupt. I'm astonished. I knew in Chicago the police were corrupt. I knew in Cook County the police were corrupt. But this, to me, is something else. And when the police are arresting young girls for sex trafficking and offering them business... Okay, because I also found that in an article, offering them business. Okay, how do you trust the police?
Go ahead.
And then we then understand why the people in Chicago do not trust the police. When we see things like
in the state of Illinois, entire state.
We then understand. Do you understand what I mean? If you cannot trust the police, they're offering you. You have basically gone to the police for help, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to pay you some money to have sex with me," and you've gone to them to help for help. These are the same police.
Well, do you guys remember when the whole case started unfolding? Who remembers that there was like a special units for traffickers that Cook County? Rosemont had, that they were supposed to be like rehabilitating these girls. So it makes me wonder what they're really doing.
What were they doing?
Dirt.
I don't understand.
They're doing dirt. Dirt. They're dirty. You got to call it for what it is. No, I mean, even
when you read what I've just put up here, and it says the doctor who signed this man's death, he died in a car crash, and the other police officers went missing. Now that to me, okay.
The other police officers were murdered. Okay.
And that to me says it's saying it's connecting the security officer in the Kenneka Jenkins case. He gets spoken to, gives a statement, and then goes missing.
Okay. They let him just leave. They let him just leave.
And it's crazy. I mean, I even found, if I can find it on here, because I found another article where it spoke of if you, here it is, one up here for you to see, because this is very interesting. I think this is, to me, this is very important, especially with this case. And what it's about, one second, sorry. Okay, so you can see here, and it says here, it's talking about when you find the person who comes to the crime scene, who finds that they have to be as a suspect, one of the most suspicious suspects. So in this case, it's the beverage manager, as you know, okay?
Yes.
The reason being is because they can tamper with evidence. It says here, attempt to destroy or remove evidence, or they believe that reporting the crime makes him or her less likely to be a suspect. Okay?
Exactly.
We've seen all his actions leading up to finding her body. He comes in from another entrance. There are police officers on the roof and outside in a dock area. So he knows they're outside. That's why he comes that other entrance. They're not going to see him coming in that kitchen. He knows where he's going in that kitchen. He walks past an office, doesn't even look in there, and goes straight to the freezer as if he knew she was there. Now, to me, that is attempting to destroy or remove evidence. Okay? But what it says here. Okay? And him reporting it is making himself look like less of a suspect. And I find this after, when you find things that actually connect so perfectly, it's telling you something. And I really do believe that that's what possibly he was trying to do. He was checking the crime scene to make sure there was nothing there that could tamper with him getting away scot-free if he had any involvement. And then you have another thing here where it talks about secondary crime scenes, primary crime scenes. And what a primary crime scene is where the actual death or crime has happened. So wherever, if she was moved, wherever she was killed is the primary crime scene.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
The secondary crime scene, if she was moved, would be the freezer. And in the secondary crime scene, because she's been moved, there's less DNA, there's less evidence. It says it in this article also. Okay? So where was the primary crime scene? Where was the secondary crime scene? Even that room, even that hotel room, is a crime scene. It's a secondary crime scene. Okay? It's not being taken as one. They're supposed to put tape up. They're supposed to stop anybody
collect
from
forensics. They didn't do it.
Exactly. They didn't do it. Okay? This is for me trying to explain, because some people are still confused because there's so much information out there going on and people are getting confused, and I get it. But I want you to understand a primary crime scene is going to have more evidence. So by her being moved to a secondary crime scene, the secondary crime scene is always going to have less evidence, and is the reason for why they moved the body. And it is important to understand that her body could have been moved, and primary and secondary crime scenes are very important.
Exactly. Now I need to piggyback off that, because let's go back to the suspects. I see some people in the chat box naming off other people. To me, like I said, everybody's a suspect. If you were there when she lost her life, I don't care if you are a police officer. I don't care who you are, what you are, you're a suspect. That's why I say everybody is a suspect. You was
That's
there.
right.
When she transpired, guess what? You a suspect, and everybody should have been.
And even Teresa says it. Even Teresa.
I think she dropped her mic a little.
Okay.
But also, let's go back to that remote access. Why I'm piggybacking off this, because when you have remote access to cameras, that means you can disable them remotely. Okay, you have control over the IP surveillance system. You can disable them remotely. So they said, oh, these cameras were not operable. Well, prove to me. You have to document that. Where's the documentation? And we still
Where's the documentation? Who had remote access? We'd like to know who.
We don't have
that. Should be documented as well.
Yes, it should be. We don't have that. We do not have that documentation. Who?
With all the pieces of the, there's so many pieces of the puzzle missing, and it boggles my mind that the world or other people can look at this. Even, Teresa was on Nancy Grace, or Dr. Oz with Nancy Grace, and there's all these missing pieces to the puzzle, and nobody is shouting out, this is wrong. I mean, besides us.
These are all red flags. Red flags.
Right.
Red flags.
Obvious red flags. I mean, even the fact that, I think you've mentioned it before, and you spoke about them not letting Teresa see her body, okay?
Exactly.
I don't know whether that's normal or not, but I think it's interesting.
That's okay. What were you doing for all those hours, and you wouldn't let her? Because the excuse they use is, oh, it's a crime scene. You're gonna contaminate the scene. Okay, but you have police officers walking in there without anything on their foot, without any coverings on. As one of the #1 pathologists said, you've seen that happen in the OJ case. These people were not. You're bringing DNA and you're taking DNA from the scene when you are not suited up properly. So how come she couldn't go in there? See, they came up with too many excuses, and I'm not going for any of it. I'm just not. I'm not doing it. We see the video footage as clear as day. The edited video footage is clear as day that they don't have any jackets on. They don't have any caps on their head. They don't have any spots on their feet. So it makes me think that they didn't collect any forensics the way they should have intentionally.
That's what it's looking like. One second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, it's playing up a little bit. Sorry, I was just making sure.
I was in chat, so sorry. Seems like
no,
a lot
it's just my screen was free.
Oh, there it goes. I mean, I can see.
Can you see? Okay.
Seems
all
like,
right, that's fine. Sorry.
Everybody here pretty much agrees with us, and with the evidence at hand, that it was handled incorrectly. And from start to finish, I mean, it was handled incorrectly, and period, point blank, the case needs to be reopened. And I know a lot of people here probably. Yeah, go right ahead.
Flower Blossom, Flower Blossom, she's right, saying the body was frozen solid. They did not take her body temperature. Did you see the body temperature taken in the autopsy results? Did you see the temperature that her body was? No, you did not. They did not take the temperature from her body.
Right.
So tell me, how did you come up with the fact that she was frozen? What, you walked in there and looked and said, oh, she's frozen. Really?
And we all know a dead body goes cold. A dead body goes cold.
That's interesting. Because I remember you said, remember we was having that chat about the fire extinguisher.
Exactly.
And I was talking about, because everyone was like, oh, she's got pink lips. She didn't, she was alive. And I thought, let me find a rational reason for why her lips are pink. And the only thing I could find was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right.
Um,
Just inside of a fire extinguisher. Exactly.
it's inside of a fire extinguisher. That's what comes out. And then I find the two things in an autopsy that make no sense is swelling of the brain.
Exactly.
Okay, which is caused by carbon monoxide poisoning. You go and check it up, Google it, whatever you need to do. Carbon monoxide poisoning, it causes swelling of the brain. So
also, injury to the head, correct? Injury to the head can cause swelling.
Yes, and remember in the autopsy they said, "Oh, we don't see a plausible reason why she has swelling of the brain," but you said she died because of hypothermia. Hypothermia and the swelling of the brain do not go together; they collide. Right. Hypothermia is a method used to prevent the brain from swelling. So if you're going to say swelling,
well, this is from the same medical examiner.
She died, right?
And
this is from the medical examiner that they got rid of. Am I correct? Recently?
No. This is the female that's still there. Remember, one of
the female
has only been there for a year. She's only been there for a year. She only had her license for a year. So why would you send her?
That's right.
Out to do anything? Yes, she can help you out, but she shouldn't be the main person. For what? For what reason?
Yeah.
This is a high-profile case. Why would you do
that? High-profile, definitely. That's why I don't understand why so much went wrong. There was not one fingerprint taken.
Now let's go back and get this too, because they were not on the scene. And Chicago law states when there's a suspicious death, and this death was definitely suspicious, the medical examiners are supposed to be on the scene. Period.
Exactly.
They weren't there.
They need to see, because it's not. I mean, the cause of death is not the reason for why she died. They're two different things. You have the cause of death, and so if, for example, if I locked somebody in a freezer and I held the door shut, they die from hypothermia, but I've murdered them.
Right.
And that's what we need to distinguish between the two. The people that believe she walked in, that's fine, but you need to distinguish the two. The fact that she died from hypothermia doesn't mean she wasn't murdered. And even I don't believe she died from hypothermia.
Exactly.
Okay, so but I'm saying
swelling of the brain. That's one reason she died.
To believe that, that's not enough. It's still not enough.
Karen,
and even if she did walk in, you still didn't do what you need.
Go ahead, Aya.
Yeah, of course you can.
Sorry, just real fast. What was the medical examiner's first name? Mish Cool in the chat wanted to know, and I forgot as well. The last name is Keefe or Keefe.
The female medical examiners.
Yeah.
Are they talking about the females? I have no idea of how to pronounce their last names, and I'm not even going to be funny because it's something.
Okay, we can look that up.
Odd. Yeah. Have some unique last names.
Okay. Go ahead, PT. I apologize.
Oh, sorry. No, that's fine.
No problem.
No, I just think that we need to distinguish between the two. It's very important, because even like I said before, it would then eliminate them. And if she did walk into that freezer, it'd be much clearer, and there would be more clarification, and we wouldn't have all these problems. So the police, regardless, have not done their job. They haven't done their job. They took no fingerprints, regardless of accident or murder. They've done none of it. They didn't take one swab. Do you know what they're supposed to do? They're supposed to get I can't remember what the light is called. Shine it over to see if there's blood.
Those fluorescent lights.
Fluorescent lights.
Powerful lights that reveal.
Exactly. They did none of that. And it's simple.
Footprints, everything else. Yeah.
It's so simple. Yeah. They didn't even do that.
Like I said, the medical examiner should have been on the scene. They were not. And people don't need to confuse the coroner office with the medical examiner. And my thing is this. So you have the coroner relinquishing information to the police department. Why? Why was that not taken into custody for evidence? What was on her body? Watched, like they recently just reposted on the website, which they're always updating constantly. So
Leroy in the chat. Leroy in the chat said, "Can someone explain why there was no guards at the rear gate or the dock?"
Oh, there
They
was.
was too busy cutting cameras, Leroy.
Exactly.
Disabling cameras to try to cover. Disabling cameras to try to cover for themselves.
Even the
you're right.
gate where they exit from, and they have the barriers. There's a camera on top of that. There's no surveillance for that. There's a big old camera on top of that. There's no surveillance for it at all.
And I need people to understand, while we're right here, I need to piggyback off that security guards have access to the IP surveillance system. That's their job, is to monitor the facility.
Exactly. He's the one that should have had access.
You cannot sit there. And I also need people to realize that the cameras in the kitchen were motion sensor cameras. That means when a person entered the kitchen, the alarm triggers. Yeah. The alert goes off. And you know somebody is in the area. Come on.
Yeah. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of it. Excuses. I mean, if they're going to make use of these things on the system of alarming them, because you can switch them off. They have them on. They have the motion sensors on. They have everything they need. They made no use of it. The person who should have had the main use to see that surveillance footage should have been the security guard. Why did he not? Wasn't he able to have access? What's the point in being a security guard if he hasn't got access to the surveillance footage? They had to go to the manager. Okay. He should have had access.
Somebody's putting up the lady's name. They both first names were Kristen
Escobar Alvarenga, and then there was Kirsten Howe.
Okay, the Alvarenga part is what I don't. I'm not sure.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one you were probably talking about. And PT, you were talking about the luminol test. Why they couldn't have done luminol, which is such an easy test. We see it on the ID channel all the time. So these are just simple things. Yeah,
such simple things. It's not like
go into that AM.
Yeah, go on.
Go into that AM. Let's backtrack. Go. Speak on that, AM.
Well, that's just some of the simple things we were talking about as a group. And I'm sure I think we brought up last time was that there's all these things that they could have done that are, don't cost a lot, that are very common. Luminol testing being one of them, where they use the spray, they use that blue light or black light, and it reveals any blood spatter or even any cleanup. And it shows, it tells a story. And then, just with Kenneka, we look at her face. I see swelling. I see bruising. And they could have swelling and bruising in her nose area and her lip area. And I believe they could have taken her leg, the blood on her leg, they could have taken any kind of x-rays that would have shown any kind of broken bones. And then that would have right there, that would have gave us another piece of the puzzle. How did this happen? This is not just an accident. She didn't walk in there if she has broken bones, or if there's a bunch of blood splatter, this isn't just her walking in the freezer and falling asleep. So these are two, simple tests that we all know just from watching TV and doing research. So why weren't those things done? And that's something that I'd like to ask them myself. I'd like to know why the police didn't do the simple things to prove or disprove that it was or was not a crime scene before they just went ahead and shut it down.
Why the medical examiner did not get themselves out to that scene.
Right.
I don't understand why so much that's simple they couldn't do.
Right.
There's a lot. I mean, we could talk about this all day, and we shouldn't be able to. We should not be able to have a discussion. I mean, in the depth.
Well, and then, my whole concern now is even, so yeah, I want the case reopened just like the rest of us do, but where's the crime scene now? There's not one.
There's not one.
So
they knew this.
That's ruined. That's ruined. And
I mean, there's something else. you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, carry on, finish.
No, I just wanted
Sorry.
to, so before we forget, I know one thing that I thought we may touch on is the hotel cameras having the sound. I'd like Kerenszharris or even PT, I know you are familiar with the computers as well. Is this something that is true, Kerenszharris, with your experience? Do you know if these really have sound?
When data is being captured, you have airwaves in the atmosphere that cause sound to happen. Even if it's just picking up the frequencies from the atmosphere, that's sound being transmitted through the airwaves.
Right.
Now, if you're asking,
and that's true what
camera,
Sam said. They didn't check under her fingernail. That is true.
They didn't check.
Sorry to cut you off, but that is true.
No problem.
Yeah, that's something I've always thought
about. She had all
that
dirt on her nails. They didn't do any DNA under those nails.
Right.
They didn't do anything.
So
wow.
So you, Kerenszharris, if you believe there was sounds picked up on those videos, do you believe that? Is it possible?
Yeah, from airways from the atmosphere. Airways from the atmosphere. All of that is part of capturing data. But see, you need a forensic audio expert and analyst to go in there, and they have to do a lot of work to pull that sound to get them frequencies out of the atmosphere. Now, am I saying, okay, the camera is set to capture audio? Audio and sound, don't confuse the two. Sound, airwaves, that can be measured, that's transmitted through the atmosphere. Now, did they have their cameras enable that sound? We don't know because we don't have that documentation. We don't even have documented what type of camera it was. And keep in mind, the hotel have different types of cameras.
Yeah.
Throughout the hotel.
Right.
They just told us it was 47. We don't have the serial numbers. We don't have the IP address to the cameras that each camera gets assigned. We don't have any of that detailed documentation. We don't even know the hotel's data policy. All of that is supposed to be documented when you go in. Anytime there's any electronic evidence, all of this is part of the process. And I have to say it again. So many police officers come in and they come in with these excuses. Okay, video footage was available, captured the scene, but they don't have it because what? The cameras weren't working. Well, when it's connected to a local area network, you know that in advance because it's represented as a node on the network. And you know when a node on your network goes down. Where's that documentation at from the hotel? Okay, they went in there and told the police, oh, these cameras were inoperable. Prove it. Where's the documentation at to prove that?
I mean, a lot of it.
I did.
A lot of the documentations is not there. They corrupted the crime scene on purpose. They contaminated that crime scene on purpose. They knew what they was doing. They already knew before they even walked in that it was going to be an accident. Before they even saw a body, some of them knew that it was going to be an accident. I mean, it's the Crown Plaza. The Caddy Shack is getting built. They know this. They know the status of the person who owns, one of the people that own that Caddy Shack. They know. That is huge. Think about that for a second. That is huge for someone to be building of that status, a restaurant in a hotel that you basically own. You basically own that land anyway. You know, and
they're for profits. They're for profits.
Exactly.
It's for profit, right? It's a business.
They're for profit.
I've done videos on how they work money. Watch those videos and understand that business and money to these people. This Rosemont is built up on money and business. That's why they built it. That's what it's for. That's why there is a shopping mall there. That's why there's all these hotels there. That's why there's all these places to make money. There's not many people that live there. Why? Because it's for people to come in, spend a bit of money and leave. Okay? Right. What they make their money from is taxes from the houses. You know, so we've got to understand that connection also.
I got to piggyback off that too. Keep in mind, they quickly closed the case down and said, oh, it's nothing to see here. Let's move on because they didn't want to mess their profits up.
Right.
They didn't want to mess up their
So
mic.
can I just,
Go ahead.
Kerenszharris, someone in the chat said, John Q said, how do we know if the cameras have microphones to have sound to them? If a camera doesn't have a microphone, how would we get any sound from them? Just asking.
Okay, you're talking about a microphone. I'm talking about the way data is captured.
Right, and that's what people don't understand, Kerenszharris. That's what people don't understand. I watched something recently of a forensic audio analyst, sorry, and he was telling me, which that's how I'm able to understand what you're saying. Basically, there's audio connected and that they can retrieve it. Like you said, it's like a computer file or like a file, right? It's like a part of it, data. It's data. So,
it's data.
Right. So even though there's not a microphone per se.
Right.
Right. So can you explain that just a tad bit more so John Q can understand how that can be possible?
Okay, let me read what he wrote, and then I'll speak to that. I'm off to the side reading what he wrote really quick.
Okay. Okay. So yes,
it is true. This is what I'm saying. Is all this information.
Okay, John Q. Data is captured in the atmosphere. And part of data is the frequencies from the airwaves in the atmosphere. All of that is captured in the atmosphere. All of it. The airwaves in the atmosphere. That gets captured. That's a part of the data capture. Data is what's captured in the atmosphere when you're dealing with the internet. We're dealing with the internet, IP surveillance system. Okay? All of that gets captured. Does that make sense? John, if you understand what I'm saying, let me know if that makes sense to you.
Let me see.
And maybe I need to do a video and just break it all the way down. So
Leroy Gray said, why do y'all think Kenneka went to that specific kitchen? I don't believe necessarily she walked into that kitchen. That could be them putting her there. And
I don't either.
They took her.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, AM.
No, you go ahead. I'd like you to touch on this.
Okay, because when I go back through the videos and I'm looking at it and you start to break down the correlations of how she's walking in the hallway and how she supposedly walked into the kitchen. When you sit down and you put that on the graph and you begin to look at the correlations, what's similar and what's not, it's just not possible to me that once I'm looking at her stumbling in the hallway, which supposedly came first before she got into the kitchen, unless she was in the kitchen first and then stumbled back out the kitchen into the hallway. See, when I'm looking at the correlations on the graph, she's walking perfectly fine. She's not staggering.
Yep, I said that. I said that a while ago.
Sit down and you put this stuff on the graph and you're looking at this like, come on.
She seems more sober.
I'm looking at the correlation. Right.
Definitely. Right. I said that because she walks straight without bumping into anything. She walks straight over there. And when she's walking around in the rest of the hotel, she's stumbling over, she's hitting walls, she's not actually falling, but she's, when she walks into that kitchen, she goes straight. She has a little bit of a sway because obviously, but I always said, when did that happen? Because I feel like the shadow that you see where it cuts and then you see the guy coming in to check the kitchen, I believe she's walking back out. I believe she walked in, there's nothing there, she's walking back out, and that's when somebody has were either attacked her or something's happened. That's when I believe something's happened. But I don't, like you say, I don't know when that part of the footage that happened in. I agree. I've always said that. And that was one of the first things I said. That was one of the first things I said as well. So I completely agree with that.
And what I'm going to do for John, if I see him in the chat, is John, I'm going to do a video and break down from a computer forensics perspective, data capture, and we will cover.
Also, Kerenszharris, remember you sent me the video. That's what I remember watching. That professional, he was an audio forensic audio analysis. Yeah. Can you,
Yes.
that's a good one for them to watch as well, because that helped me understand.
I'm going to link that
So
when I
if
do
you
it.
don't, yeah, yep.
Yeah, when I do it, a video, I'll post it in the link so they
Okay.
can go watch and get a little bit more clarity. And that's why it's vital when you are trying to touch on different things like this to have thorough training or some type of training and education so you can
Right.
understand for clarity's sake, because when we're in court, we have to be able to explain this. Like I understand bit depth and everything else from pictures and different things like that. And
Right.
Painting Truth does too, because her background is graphic arts. So these are just certain things that we have to know and understand.
Well, it's like when we was talk. I put up the video about the watch. Like the watch is grey. Like when I first looked at the watch, I was confused with why people thought it was black. But it's because from my perspective and from what I understand and what I've been trained in, I'm looking at it differently. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you believe it's black, that's fine. We don't need to hate each other for different opinions. I'm getting really annoyed with people hating people for their opinion. Unless you come with a condescending attitude or a rude attitude, you can have your opinion. But I know that watch is grey. You got to remember that black, grey, that then actually tones. They're not colours in the same way that red, blue. They're not the same. So it's almost like if you walk into a room with the light off, what color are the walls? Are they now black? If they're painted white, they're still white, but you're seeing them as black. And it's the same idea in this when you look at that watch, because it's darker, because it's a tone and not a color, it's just going darker. Because it's grey, it's going black. Okay, but unless you understand how that works, which is confusing. If you don't know, you don't know. It's going to be completely confusing. But unless you understand that, you wouldn't know. That's why I did what I did, and I turned the lighting up. If that watch was black, it would have stayed black. It wouldn't have gone grey, because all that's doing is changing the lighting, not the color of the watch. It is just changing the lighting through what Kerenszharris was saying, the data. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I trust Painting Truth's eye. She's a photographer, and like I said, her degree is in graphic arts. So you do, and I had to take a little graphic arts to get my computer forensic degree. They made us touch on certain areas. Okay, we had to touch on areas that didn't seem vital to me, but they were important if you wanted to get that degree. You have to go through what you have to go through. They put them in there for a reason.
That's right.
But I'm going to touch on this for a minute. And this was basically to do with, because I was listening, the latest thing I've gone over is Teresa's interview at the radio station. And even the person interviewing her mentioned sex trafficking. And I think that is more important in this case than organs being taken, okay? Now, what I'm going to say is, I'm not going to say that this has something to do with her case. I'm saying it's a possibility, okay? And if you are about to be kidnapped for sex trafficking and you're trying to get away, they kill you, okay? That's what they do. They kill you, right? Yep. And if you are already in that position, you've already been put in a position where you're having sex for money and you're not getting paid and you're being treated this way. If you try to escape, you get killed, okay? It doesn't always mean you're going to get shot. What you need to be careful with here is you can get shot. They can shoot, of course they can. But it's different to gang rivalry, revenge attacks.
Be inside a hotel, right?
Exactly. It's a different thing. Right. So you've got to look at it in the right context. This is why I found this. And on here, it shows you. Let me go down a bit further.
Can I piggyback on a little bit of what you just said real quick?
Yeah. Go on,
yes, exactly. Yes, Margot Margot sent some good information to me
Yes,
today,
you did.
and she was, talking about, a lot of these murders that are happening to these young women in
Hmm.
Chicago, and that, you were talking about how they won't just be shot all the time. Well, and also, they don't also just, go hiding the bodies either. A lot of times they're left. They're left where they
Yeah,
were murdered
Exactly.
at. Gangs don't, usually conceal bodies. They don't go through the lengths. They don't
they
go
don't
through.
conceal bodies, but I have
Right.
found articles where they have, which
Oh,
what I'm saying is it's important to realize not every single sex worker is going to be shot,
right.
which is why I brought this up. You can see on here, Margot's completely correct. 36.6% of them got shot. Okay, like that is the main way of killing them, but the rest are there are other. What I'm saying is there are other aspects. 19.5% were stabbed, 14.6% were strangled. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there's even a percentage of where they don't know, unknown. 12.2%, they don't know how they died.
Right.
Okay, the gray area, that's what I'm talking about. So does Kenneka fall into that group? Was
That
she
could be.
fighting, like they said, to get away from this? I mean,
And then I want to touch on something because they just had
yeah,
their triple X conference. And when you look at the videos that they were showing of the women, it looked, the hair is like Kanika's hair, the long flowy hair, the brassiere sizes. I said, oh my, this is interesting. Very
what a
interesting.
weird thing to. I've never heard of that personally. I've never. To
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that
They
is
just had their
crazy.
conference June the
Even the
8th,
Crown Club,
9th, 10th. Good old Rosemont.
and it's funny because they use hotels.
Yes.
Sex traffickers use hotels.
Oh, yeah. This isn't the first time.
Like they tend to get found. What the way I looked at it was, if someone is involved in sex trafficking, I think it's possible that there are certain gangs, because I found this article where the vice lords were actually arrested for sex trafficking 12-year-old girls. So the gang that's involved in it, that was in at the party, some of those members, I'm not saying they were involved in this at all. That's not what I'm saying, but
They've
they're
been
involved in
arrested.
a
They have a
gang that
history.
does this. Exactly. They're
Right.
involved in a gang that does. They know this happens. Okay. They know this happens. Okay. So what I'm saying is that it's relatable. All those men in that
Yes.
party, most of them were older. The girls were younger. That is a very classic, this very classic way of when we see sex trafficking
Right.
going on.
Even for
It's classic.
Rosemont employees, what
Yeah.
do we know about
Right.
them? What do we know about the owner? Did you like little
Right.
girls?
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all just did this triple X conference that y'all been holding for the last few years. And these
Well,
are
and
young
just a
girls.
year or
I
two
guarantee you, they
before,
don't
a
want
year.
anybody over 21. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
nobody over 21.
Right. Well, in a
But
year
even
or
if
two prior, they were busted for organ trafficking. So,
there we go.
you have all these different crimes that are all very close to, the Kenneka case. And in fact, in Chicago alone, like the south side of Chicago, they've recently noticed an roar of all these murders of young women, even since the Kenneka case.
Crazy.
Lots of young women are going, being killed or going missing.
And so you
And
can't rule out a serial killer either.
you
You can't rule
can't,
out a serial killer either.
No
You
way.
can't rule out anything. You really
at this
can't.
point, no.
And I'm saying that even with, like, if you look at the fact that there could have been this type of thing going on, people, if this is going on, people know in that party. There are people that know that this was going on, and it could have some relation to it, which is why they're not talking, because they might not know if it does, and that's why they're saying they don't know. So there's so many,
Right. But what
there's
about the
so many
people at
ways
the
to look
hotel,
at
the hotel staff? What they doing? Because remember, a hotel manager earlier on in this year was arrested for what? She was sex trafficking out the hotel.
And also,
it was in another part
we
of
know
the state
that
of the United States, but they do that.
They do. And we heard in the beginning of this case that, the 9th floor was the area they put a lot of that stuff. And I remember them saying the 9th floor, somebody that was from that area said the 9th floor was where they let the people party and have the sex, the trafficking and all that going on. So it's nothing new. In fact, we know that those cracking card things, or however they paid for the rooms, because that's the first time I ever heard of the cracking card, the title was during this case. And they kept trying the card, and that right there is illegal.
Yep.
So they're trying to put this credit card through over and over and over again. So that tells me they've done this before.
And Margot is right in that chat. She is on the police, the nonchalant, cavalier police who don't give a rat's rump about anybody.
No.
Let this stuff happen. No. Their job is to protect and serve.
Exactly.
How Public are safety. You protecting and serving and people ending up dead?
Public. And what these people of Rosemont,
back to them.
These people of Rosemont don't realize
too. They gotta own
They do.
this.
And they pay taxes. If they're owning businesses and homes there, they pay taxes. Those police work for them. They're in service. They're in the business of service. Yes. And so they have a voice. And when their child goes missing and when their child goes parties at Rosemont or at the Crown Plaza and comes up missing or in part of a crime, then what? So that's where I'm like, they should be under a magnifying glass at this point.
Definitely, especially in Cook County,
And if that was my city, I would be on it. Making sure, checking, wondering what's going on. What are you guys doing? Where's this case going? Where's that case going?
Well, I read somewhere else that sometimes people actually kidnap people for drugs. So they'll kidnap someone,
they do,
pass them over, and they'll give them some drugs for it.
Yeah.
So
they do, especially
you go
over
to
there in the Spanish Mafia. I'm not trying to be funny.
That is crazy. I think I even have something that I can show you. Okay.
They ruthless. There's some ruthless people out
west side of Chicago. And
Margot said 75 bodies in 17 years.
Crazy.
That's a lot,
That's a lot. That is a lot. That is so much. But here, this is
that we don't know why and we don't know who, and going unsolved.
That's why everybody's a suspect. Exactly.
You just walk outside your door and go down the road, and you can get kidnapped. It's crazy. But this is basically in the west side of Chicago. This is a recent. I think this was the 13th of June. This was posted, and this is about them finding. When I was talking about the gangs and the connection to Mexican cartels, this is same thing. 13th of June, they just busted someone's house for drugs, and they found that it had connections to a Mexican cartel. Okay, so there's a lot going on. And
there is. And is the police involved in the Mexican cartel?
Yes.
Is the hotel owner involved in the cartel? Was it any hotel staff that's involved with the cartel?
I believe so.
With any type of cartel.
Oh yeah, something happened in that room, and that's for sure. It started there, and I believe that 100%.
I think that's why.
Right, it could have started there, but nobody had the remote access to disable the cameras except for hotel staff. It could have started there, but where she was found at, that's where it gets really touchy.
Even the way we just thinking about the way she left that party, that is huge as well. That needs to be broken down. because that makes no sense. I think she left because something was not right. This idea that she was asleep on the bed, I don't know if I believe that. I think something went wrong, something happened, and she wanted to leave. And from there, she's disappeared, even from her friends. So did someone else come out with them and followed her? And because to me, she looked like she was trying to get away. She was walking. Most people have been drunk before. Okay, and when you're drunk, you want to find your bed. Okay, so why was she looked like she was walking, trying to get away from someone. She just kept going and going and going. She got up the stairs really quick, apparently. Okay, so to me, she was getting away from someone. In my opinion, that's what I believe.
Yeah, then you have hotel staff running around like they crazy.
Right.
Disabling cameras right there in front of, up under the police noses, or right there in their face, and them not saying, guess what's not staying in here tonight? The IP surveillance unit. You go in with a warrant and you collect the entire unit so you can investigate the unit.
This is
no bit by bit copies. No bit by bit copies. Just this hogwash stuff that they passing on.
I think this is for you. This is for you, because you was talking about, and Margot.
Yeah.
You find this interesting because this is talking about, he was talking about serial killers. And this is a prior serial killer in Chicago who was killing people because they were sex workers. Okay? This is what this is in the 1980s. I'll put it up so you can read it yourself. And it's some, they said it was some satanic ritual, something like that. I'm not going to go into that, but he was this was a serial killer in Chicago. Okay, and it's what you were saying, and what Margot was saying, and it's happened before. And what I don't like about this case is, our girls getting killed because it's getting them attention? Because some serial killers do that. They want attention from the media, and then they come and say, I killed all these people, because they now feel that they're famous. It's something that some serial killers have done. Okay, and they enjoy explaining how they killed these people. They enjoy it. It gives them a high to explain. Okay, so some people, it sounds crazy, but if you do your research, you'll find out there are different types of serial killers. Even there's different names for different serial killers for how they kill. And there are serial killers that actually want to become famous from killing people. So now, if you've hyped up this situation and brought out all these crazy theories, and you've got all this attention from it, if someone has the tendency to be a serial killer, to do them things, they could possibly use this as an attention thing, and it's sick, but it happens. I'm not saying that's
to piggyback off that too. Excuse me, because they're smart. They have their timing down to the T. They don't miss a second. Serial killers don't miss a second. Killers don't miss a second. They have their stuff planned and plotted out down to the seconds. And because time is of essence. Again. People need to realize that too.
Definitely. They have a way, like, that's why when you have a serial killer, they will kill in a similar way every time. So if they kidnap you, do whatever, and kill you and put you and dump you in the forest, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be how they do it. So that's how you find a serial killer, by what how they kill. That's why the Iceman, it was hard to find him, because he would kill in different ways. And it's interesting that I say the Iceman, because he only froze one body. He only froze one body. He kept it for 2 years. And when they found the body, I think it was on the side of the road, they couldn't tell when that person had died, because he had frozen it. And it's similar to the Kenneka Jenkins case. Even though she wasn't frozen for 2 years, your body depletes in its temperature. I think it's something like 1.5 degrees every hour, something like that. So if she had been killed recently to when they found her, and she wasn't in that freezer, they would be able to roughly tell through the hours when she was murdered, if she was murdered. So even her getting put into that freezer, it's an interesting thing to think about. It could be just so that we don't know when she died.
That's true. Ever, yeah.
Uncomfortable to think about, because it's, for me, it's so uncomfortable to think of someone moving someone's body after they've died, and it's
right.
sick.
And then it changes the lividity in the body. The lividity in the body shifts.
That's right.
That's why she had that small patch on the right side of her thigh, because I believe she was on that side for a few hours, and then they've turned her over, put her in that freezer, and then she was on that left side for the longest period of time. So that's why you get that lividity on that side the most, and the other side it's slight because she was only on that side for a little bit. And I don't know if that came across in my video correctly, so that's why I'm explaining it. But I'm sure, I'm nearly sure that she was moved just from that. Even the fact that there's dirt, and then she's got the cut that runs, it all runs up in a line up the side of her body, like she was dragged, was moved. To me, that's what that looks like. And I don't know, what do you think, Anne? Do you think she was moved?
It does look like that. It does look like that to me, from her shoe to her head, from the top to the bottom. John Q from the chat said, what do you guys think about Mike and Bree leaving the hotel at the same time Kenneka began walking the hallways of the hotel? Then we find out that they were in the kitchen that night.
Okay, do they know somebody in the hotel? And I'm not trying to be funny. Did they have remote access to those cameras?
Right.
They know somebody who had remote access to the cameras.
Well, it was said in the beginning somebody worked there, right? That was part of that group.
But did that person have remote access to the IP surveillance system? Were they able to enable the cameras, or knew somebody who would enable the cameras?
But I think the security guard probably didn't know. think about the security guard's job. He is there to secure the building. So he knows
watch those
the position of all those cameras. He knows the position of all those cameras. He knows the position of all those cameras. He knows how to disable those cameras. And I believe he does have access to the cameras. I believe he does.
They do. The security guards do. That's what they're there for.
Right. They were going in and out of that room, I believe.
Yeah. The control room. The room that controls where you get to view all of the action that's going on in the hotel.
Again,
not only that, they can view it from their phones remotely. They can review it from a phone remotely. They can view the actions from a laptop or anything. You don't have to be on site to have remote access and to see what's going on site.
Exactly.
We have remote access to our surveillance systems in our homes. The same thing rings true for the hotel. Those
I actually have a video.
Authority.
I have a video. I will put it up. I've done it, but I didn't put it up. I'll put it up just so you can understand what Kerenszharris is saying, because I found the information on it, and it shows you even how to do it on your phone, how to log in, how to get the footage up, and how to live stream it. You can look at it from your phone. For real, you can. I couldn't believe it when I saw how easy it was as well. It was so simple.
Yeah.
You literally just log in, click. It's like an app you get, and you see it. What's going on.
And so that goes back to management having remote access, security having remote access, and anybody else having remote access. Because did hackers get in there and hack their system and remotely disable cameras? No, I don't think they did. It's somebody who worked there.
Well, and then my thing too is, when Teresa asked to see the cameras, and we all clearly heard her say, "Can you check the cameras and tell me if she's been here?" They didn't do it.
No,
so to me,
we don't see her.
They won't. Right.
Their first statement was she hasn't been in here.
Yep. Red flag. So it's just like we're going to be counting red flags for this whole case. And, common sense, which isn't so common, would tell them, there's more to this. And that's why I believe, that's why I, in my heart and my soul, knows that there's a cover up, because there's too many red flags that any common person should know.
Definitely. And it's like it's like the employees have been protected way too much. They were suspects just like anybody else, but they haven't been treated like it. They've been treated like witnesses, and that's it. They haven't been treated like suspects.
What is he saying? Can I do more? What? Can I do more? Mediator.
Meditor.
When does he say?
So, like John Q said, this is interesting. So now we have the hotel security and some gang members trying into each other towards that kitchen area that night.
Say that
I
again,
think he
sorry?
means running. I think he meant now we have the hotel security and also some gang members going into the running into each other towards or walking into the kitchen that area that night.
Mm-hmm.
John, can you clear that
And
up?
John, Leroy is saying something. If I can just say something really clear here, he said,
Yeah.
Bree is innocent. Well, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. That's it. But at the same time, everybody is a suspect. That's why I'm not.
Exactly.
I can't just focus on a certain group. I have to get everybody, and that includes the police and the hotel, because they're the most responsible, and they have got to be held accountable for their actions. The liability and accountability lies with the hotel, who had access to those cameras on their property, and the police, who should have did a thorough investigation, who are hired to protect and serve. So they get included in the suspect list too. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, they are suspects. If you was there when she died, you're a suspect. Simple.
Right. Exactly. And it's as simple as
Letha
that.
says no five-star hotel is going to cover for Black kids in a murder. And that was something I struggled with in the beginning because, I look at it and I'm like, why? We've seen nothing but them not caring about Black kids getting murdered, Black men and women getting murdered. So why would the hotel be covering for these Black kids if they were the ones that did the murder? That's why I believe that it was the hotel staff and the hotel that played the biggest part.
I believe that they would have covered up the crime to cover their own backs. I believe there was a lot going on in this Crown Plaza hotel that we didn't know about. And if this was going to uncover their dirt, they're covering it up. If they found her body somewhere else, they don't know how she's died. It's going to cause a negative attraction to the hotel. So they move her body. They don't realize that they're going to have to, she could have been made to have looked like she just went missing and body disappear off the face of the planet.
Right. And let's go back to the protest. I have to piggy off that. Let's go back to the protest when residents are protesting, and they are still protesting, and power to the people.
Yes.
More help is on the way. I say if you can plan in September, which will mark a year, posse up and go help the people. Put your feet on the ground and go help them protest. If you have to sit in a chair, pass out water, go do something. Go do something, and let's get beyond inside these walls. Let's get out of the four walls of our homes or of our buildings, and let's get to that state in September and show our support and let them know we are serious. Now, having said that,
power in numbers,
and it's not going to go away. We are serious, and it's not going away.
No way. This is
power to the people. It's power in numbers. It's power in numbers. In organization, it's power.
That's why they get away what they get away with.
Right, because people don't push back. Exactly. When you show up to fight, you win. If you don't show up to fight, you don't win.
That's right.
People do a lot of talking,
you
but not a lot of
acting. Right. So
I think Rosemont needs to be shut down as a whole.
Leroy said the protest is what scared Rosemont, and I believe that.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go back to the protesters. Okay. At first, the chief comes out. When you go back and you look at the video, it says, "Oh, I'm with you guys. We want to find out what happened. We're with you. We're going to make sure, you can protest. Of course we can protest. It's our constitutional right to protest. It's our amendment. It's in the amendments. We have a right to protest. So you're not going to take away our rights as Americans. I'm not going to let you take mine away without saying something."
Right.
And then he goes, as it keeps going, then he comes back out, "Oh, bullhorn too loud. Now you're going to file a complaint against this, noise complaints against this. Now it's this. Then he comes back and say, oh, y'all messing up the money. You messing up the hotel's money. So what? It's a life going that will not be replaced. Nobody care about anybody messing up anybody's money. That's what the protest
is supposed to do.
Wow. And it's the same.
I mean, right, Kerenszharris? I mean, that's what a protest is supposed to do.
That's right. We want to mess your money up. All of it.
That's right.
All of it. The
and
whole state.
I almost wish we could have.
Nobody.
I wish we could have a couple lawyers there during the protest so that they can help.
Oh, we will. Nobody needs to be patronizing anything in Rosemont right now. They should have shut the residents should have shut that down. I'm not getting ready to patronize your business. I'm not going to patronize your hotel. We getting ready to recall the mayor. We getting ready to recall some judges. I don't care. Let's get everybody until we get this corruption up out of here. People want to say
that's right.
They anti-corruption, but when you start dancing on people money, that's when you get their attention. So tap dance on the money.
That's
right.
That's
when you get their attention.
Hit them in the pockets.
There's a lot of.
That's when they start paying attention.
There's a lot of people that will use you, whether it be the police, whoever. There are a lot of people that use you. But if you stick to the cause of justice, you will follow, and people will follow who have the same cause. If you want to stick with negative theories about this case, then you're only gonna attract that. That's gonna confuse you more. If you stick with the idea of justice, you'll only see the truth. So when we're talking about doing protests, everyone is going to be like-minded. Everyone's going to be on the same cause. There's going to be no negative attributes to it at all. And I think
it's our constitutional right. And right, Paint and True. You're from the UK, but you understand. You guys have a strong union over there.
They sure do.
People need to understand. They're about their rights over there. They will push back and fight.
Yeah.
We're American.
They take care of their people over there.
It's about our rights over here. We have got to get back to the place where we push back and fight. And stop just throwing our hands up and saying, say rah, whatever be will be. I don't think so.
Nothing will change. You have to fight.
You got to get a pushback.
Died from fighting and change laws and change the world from fighting. You can't just think that this is going to be over in 5 minutes.
It's not going to be over in 5 minutes. Justice is not a one-night stand. It's a long-term commitment.
How many court cases have you seen that have been solved 20 years later, 10 years later?
Oh, I've seen plenty. John F. Kennedy. It's so many cases. Just go on and on and on to where it took years. But they finally got to the murderer.
Forensic examination is always advancing. It's always advancing. I mean, they bring out DNA from before we could even test DNA because they knew that there'd be a time where we could possibly test it. They're going back and finding people guilty or not guilty of crimes they've been in jail for 20, 30 years. From DNA they collected before they could even test it. So you need to understand that whether it been 5, 10, 15 years, this could actually save someone's life as well. So it's justice for Kenneka and justice for everyone who could slip into this and be a victim. Okay, there's more than one reason. So you need to have that in your heart before you go to this protest, because it's a lot more than just this, you know?
And Miss Letha is right. Murder has no statute of limitations in the United States of America.
I mean, in England, when we protest, it's generally that they will liaise with the police, and the police will come as almost security, and they kind of walk with you as you protest, if that makes sense. They don't actually. It's not like when I watch a protest in America. It's generally
so they're fighting with us. They're fighting with you, not against.
Yeah. They
explain that, Pain Truth. Explain that. Go into, because people need to see the difference in. And I love a perspective outside of the United States of America, because in Michigan when we were doing a recall, when I was doing a recall against Slick Rick Snyder and pushbacks and stuff like that. Guess who was the first on the ground over here? It was people from the United Kingdom. They were the first people from another country to come here.
Well, because they're all about taking care of their people. That's right.
It's and they stayed. I mean, some of those people stayed over here for years.
I think
So
it's
go
just,
ahead and talk about how you guys view this.
well, when it comes to the police, we don't have a positive view of our police. There are police, we have police that do take their authority as a way of controlling people. We do have police that do attack people who are Black, Asian. We have the same thing, but it's in a smaller scale. It is in a smaller scale. The police, we tend to have a better relationship with our police. Then we're not as, like I said, when we do protests, we liaise with the police. They then come and they just stand at the sides. They don't get involved unless something happens. And when something happens, they treat it as a local issue. So if someone starts a fight, that's treated as that local issue and they're put into a van and the protest carries on. It doesn't generally escalate. And things get done because of that, because people are listening, people are shouting, people are saying what they need to say, they're going hard, okay? But it works because of how they where they aim their aggression. They don't aim it at the police. They want the police to also protect them. And I think it's just a different, like you say, perspective of, if I want justice, right, then I need to be seen as a serious person, as a mature person, and someone who can be listened to. If you're going to go there to fight and act like a child, you're not going to change anything.
Right.
See, but over here, our police, unfortunately, over here, our police like to
they antagonize
their powers,
and they antagonize us.
Like what you out here protesting for is my constitutional right. That's why I'm out here protesting.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
They like to try to harass and intimidate.
They're working against us, not with us, and that makes it a lot harder for us in America.
When you have those bad apples, so to speak, in the bunches that like to harass and intimidate protesters and abuse their authority and power, that's where you get the friction in. That's where friction comes in.
I think it's profiling mainly. I mean, I've even had experiences of being in my car and my car's been stopped by plainclothes police hunting my car down like I'm a murderer. And then they get me out, they get someone else out my car because that happens to be a Black male. I could have driven off. And he wasn't even the driver. But they took him out, checked everything, and there was nothing wrong. So we do have that profiling over here also, but it's not. They're not aggressive to you. They don't attack you unless you show aggression. If you show one piece of aggression, they're slamming you to the floor. They don't. They will take that and abuse that fact that they will say, "Oh, he came for me," and they'll end up killing you, and you'll be like, "Well, he hit me." When they're the police, they should be able to handle that, put you in cuffs and put you in the car. That's what they should be doing. But we do have it, but it's just different. Even the racism over here is different. Racism over here is just as bad, but it's different. It's not so in your face. It's the standing in the queue in the shop and them calling the person behind you because you're not white and they are, and they come and then you'll be like, "Excuse me, I'm in the queue," and they just ignore you. They don't even address the fact that you're standing there. That's the type of racism we get. It's very subtly done. It's there, completely there, but it's very subtly done. I mean, even in school, the teachers will treat you differently because you're of a different color, because you're Black. They will treat you like you are a thug, you know.
And when I was participating in this one protest, and I'm at the state capitol, which is the People House. People pay. We're taxpayers. We pay our taxes. This is why the United States economy runs. Okay, we're paying salaries. We're paying taxes. We're paying for people's livelihood.
Right.
We're in there for a meeting that was pre-scheduled with the lawmaker. The lawmaker sees, a group of our whole group wasn't going in there because we had over 500 people. So, it was a designated few that were selected to go in, probably about 15 to 20 of us. And they're like, "Well, no, only 3 can come in. Well, your office is big enough to host everybody." But we said, "Oh, okay, fine. Well, 3 can go in. We'll let these three be spokespeople. Everybody can fluently go in and state the claim. And instantly, the police gets called. Okay? So you have all these police coming up. And you can see them trying to intimidate the people, but I had to stand there, flat-footed, put my plastic face on, and not move. And the group said, fine, because we already had a strike. When they doing that, this is what we're getting ready to do. Outline the door, nobody move until the people come out to meet. We're not going nowhere. Just stand there, police in my face. Did I want to push the cop? Yes, I wanted to push the cop. Did I push the cop? No, because that would have started a fight.
Exactly.
But I stood there, face off. Yeah, we did a face off. I can do a stare down too. You can do a stare down, I can do a stare down.
That's right.
But that's
So I'm
what
ready
it is.
for the
When it comes to protesting, I think that everyone needs to know their rights and needs to know the laws so that they're safe and that they don't have to be, bullied.
What is he saying? Somebody say that their love for somebody. Oh, they're talking about.
And I think a lot of people are talking in the chat, so I'm gonna cut in here.
Oh, okay.
And what I'm gonna say about this situation is when people have opinions on this case, it's fine to have a different opinion, but when you come with a rude attitude or a condescending attitude, that's when I can't listen to you. I won't listen to you.
Same.
I won't troll you. I won't even come to your channel. I'm not going to attack you, but I just won't listen to you. I'm not going to go to someone who's like that. It's hard to, if you're someone who believes that Kenneka Jenkins was murdered and you act rude, you're looked at completely differently to if you believe she walked into that freezer and you're rude. For some reason, I don't know why, but you're looked at like you're dumb for believing that she was murdered. And that is the type of attitude I don't like. That's the type of attitude I don't like. It's not that I don't like. You can have your opinion. I love the fact that everybody has their opinion because I like to debate. So you've got to have a different opinion to me to debate with me. I enjoy it. I enjoy a debate. Okay. So why come with a hostile attitude? Why not? That's what I don't like. It's not the person or it's the attitude. Okay.
And I agree, Letha put to each their own, and that's how I live as well. As long as it's not hurting you and bothering you, then you can let everyone have their own opinions, like Peachy said.
Exactly.
And I'm going to piggyback off that. See, my perspective on fighting for just causes is different. If you're not for the cause, then you're against the cause. And if you're against the cause, I'm not going to acknowledge anything that you're doing because you are at that point becoming a distraction. I don't need any distractions. I don't need any unnecessary whatever, because I get enough of that when I'm on the ground in the opposing party attorneys' faces, governors' faces, lawmakers' faces. That's who I would rather contend with, the people who have the authority to make a decision today. So I'm not, you either for or against, and if you're against, I choose not to waste my time and give that energy that can be utilized for something else, and just choose not to acknowledge whatever you're doing because you're not on the team. So why take the time out to acknowledge and you're not on the team anyway?
I just think if you're going to come and say something and you're going to have a different opinion, but you're trying to educate, you get that vibe from when someone's trying to say, oh, I believe this. But some people are coming and they are trying to force you.
They're not even on the team. They coming and they're not even on team justice.
Yeah.
They think it was not an accident. You're not on the team for getting a new investigation or getting the case reopened. You're not on that team. So.
Right. Or not being open-minded enough to look at everything from both, sides, or non-biased. We have to look at stuff and make a conclusion. But if you're not open-minded enough to say, well, maybe that is true, or maybe that could be right, then really, to me, you're not a good problem or crime solver, and you probably should keep it to yourself. You have to look at all things and keep an open mind.
I mean, look at this one. This is what I put up earlier. Autopsy results for that where the body was exhumed, and they changed the autopsy results from suicide to homicide. Now, in this case, people who would have believed that it was a suicide, okay, how are they going to feel now it's a homicide?
Well, the thing is that we can't even depend on the autopsy, because we know now that the medical examiners were not even reliable. Their information is not reliable. So now we're back to 0.0 with no autopsy, or not a credible one in my eyes.
Well, you've got swelling on the brain and pink lips.
And Margot, I want to, can I interject really quick? Because Margot is usually up here with us. And she said her issue is no one can definitively say, and I'm adding definitively in there, that the police just did a great job investigating the death of Kenneka Jenkins. No, they cannot definitively say and affirm that the police just did a super fantastic, top-notch job.
Right.
Before closing the case.
Public safety. There's a word in there that is important, public. But they're not keeping the public safe. So they need to change their name, because they shouldn't be called public safety.
They should be called self-safety, because they only think about themselves.
Self-safety, that is exactly what it should be. They're especially Rosemont Public Safety.
Yeah, let's call the Rosemont Self-Safety Department.
Yeah, they're basically there to protect the mayor. That's it. That's what they're there for, really. They're not there for the public. I don't believe that. Change the police name, public, because if he was there for the seriously, watch the Teresa interview again and listen to what she says about the police. She even says, the police officer said to her, "We've never had to deal with an attorney before in a case like this."
Right.
And so what did he mean in a case like you've never had to deal with an attorney? Excuse me, you would not have had to deal with an attorney had they not been trying to just disregard or dismiss what she was saying and treat her like, oh, whatever.
I just think the way that they treated her, I was so disgusted. Like that says a lot to me.
And the judge that approved that restraining order for her not to be able to protest at the Crown Plaza needs to lose their seat. Right. If you are in the state of Illinois, do not vote for that judge again. They are not for people protesting. Protesting is a constitutional right in the United States of America. We cannot have judges saying people can't protest. You're going against the Constitution of the United States of America.
The picking and choosing when it suits you to benefit yourself. That is all that is. How can you say that people cannot get their human rights? Human rights, public safety, the name don't even match what they do. But you're saying that people can't protest to get their rights. So all you're doing, like I said, is blocking people from getting their rights, and you're protecting your mayor. Because half of his family probably work in public safety. Okay?
Yeah.
But change your name, please. Safety shouldn't even be involved. Change the whole name. Public and safety. Get rid of it.
Right.
Right.
If people are ending up dead, I got to piggyback off this. If people are ending up dead, murdered, that's a policing issue. That's what they were hired to do, right?
Yeah.
Then that's a policing issue.
I'd like to see the day when the Rosemont Police Department or Public Safety has to answer to someone else, to the FBI, or to what's the service that checks on the police? There's a part of the
investigation.
Maybe not the FBI, but there's a part that they are the ones that investigate within the police.
They have a board. Every police department has a board. I would like to have the board. Nobody got suspended. Nobody got suspended from the hotel for running the fake credit cards through over and over, maybe more than 3 times. I don't see anybody being suspended. I don't see anybody being terminated, or maybe they did and we just didn't get that information. I don't see anybody from the police station being sent home or suspended. And if you were
Internal Affairs, thank you, Margot. Sorry.
If you were under my authority, I'm gonna send you home. Right. Go home.
Where are they?
You didn't do your job. Go home.
They still aren't doing their job.
Sleep. They sleep. It's time to wake them up. They sleep.
I think it's interesting as well how they wouldn't let her mother see her body until they had moved her. They made sure they didn't want her to see, and then they had that activist who saw the pictures of her daughter before she did. How does that work out? How does somebody else see that before you as the mother?
And how do the police department allow him to come on there and just fabricate a story and spin it where they spun their story too?
Can I tell you? Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why? It's in the Teresa interview once again. The Teresa says he said he was a police investigator. He told her he was a police investigator. So are the police involved in trying to make this? Is that another bit of evidence to show the police are trying to use a black man to get black people to trust him that she walked in? And the police have put him in place.
And the attorneys already said you. Exactly, Paint and Truth. I got to piggyback off that. The police have already said. I mean, the attorneys already said we don't have any video footage of that. No one seems to be able to show us that, but you have surveillance on the premises, right? But you just don't have that available, but you have footage of everything else. They playing games. They thought people was just going to be like, oh, it was an accident. Let's move on. No.
They definitely did not expect everyone to go so hard for the Kenneka case or for Kenneka. They thought we were going to take it lying down and it was just going to go away. And the next thing you know, it would be something else. But now, they see and it still has not gone away, and it won't go away because, people like us and others that are, very, and what is the word I'm looking for? We're invested into this case. We've had, sleepless nights. We've had tears down our face. And, I want to see it to the end. I want to see it until she gets justice, however that looks like. Because now that there is not a crime scene for them to investigate, justice may look a little different than a normal, crime scene. If they would have had it from the beginning. There
still is a body that could be exhumed from the ground.
Right.
Right. You can do a let's bring the number one pathologist in from the United States of America and have them do this autopsy.
We can still get justice. I do know that. That's why I said
you can't go off the other autopsies. We see that right now because Cook County has issues that they've been having.
That's true. Margot said a lot of cold cases are solved by circumstantial evidence. True. That's, exactly. I'm ready to, do what is needed and follow it to the end until we see what justice looks like for Kenneka.
And I want to admonish people to keep going to. I know the race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but it's given to the people who will endure and hold on until the end. Mm-hmm. I'm remembering Casey Anthony's case, and when they got a hold to that information and people just kept going and digging, did freedom of information requests, wanted that information, they just kept going and going, and they gave information to the attorney that he did turn around and bring some of that information up in court. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, because that's how you discover things. It's about discovery.
I'll give you an example of a protest which worked, but it's crazy. And there was a girl in over here in England who was found under her bed. Her mum said she went missing. Her mum basically hid her under her bed the whole time to get a media coverage, to get money, to get this, you know, for her child going missing. The protest is what found her daughter under her bed. The protest found her daughter. And it's crazy to think someone would do that. And just before this,
wow.
Just before this was the situation with Madeline, which you guys probably know, where she went on holiday and was kidnapped and she hasn't been found. And
Right.
they believe that this case was a publicity stunt from that. And which is what I was saying about this serial killer idea. It helps to explain what I'm saying when I say, could someone be using this for attention?
Right.
But it was the protest that found her. And then there was another girl that was murdered by her own stepdad, rolled up in a carpet and put in the loft. And this wasn't far from where I live. It was uncomfortable because it was so close to where I live. And it was the protest that people just once every day, people were looking for. Hundreds of people were out looking for this little girl. Hundreds of people. And they found her in her own house where she was, well, grandma's house, sorry, in the loft. So when you do these things, it works. It doesn't matter if it's before, after, what the cause is, it works. But you need power in numbers.
Right.
Right. Just like Kendrick Johnson, Miss Letha, and people brought him up in the chat. And I know I have a video posted on the channel using CNN videos, and you have to use all of their video footage if you're going to use their information. You have to show both clips in their entirety, where you have a forensic analyst that's going in analyzing the video footage, and he said the same thing. It's very suspicious when the police did not go in and get the entire unit that did the record. It's very suspicious when people who are going to be held liable are allowed to turn over electronically stored information and evidence to you. That's a red flag. That's extremely suspicious. Extremely suspicious. And Kendrick Johnson's body was exhumed, and they had to go in and do an autopsy on him, and they found all kind of things. It was just that video footage that was missing.
Mm-hmm.
That was vital. We have video footage missing that's vital. We don't see her walk into that freezer. We don't see her beyond when she makes a so-called turn and it's cameras there. Where is that footage at?
Right.
And it was this that I was talking about, where the body was exhumed, where they changed it from suicide to a homicide. The body wasn't even autopsied at all. It wasn't like they autopsied the body and then was like, oh, it's an accident. They didn't even bother, and it was a homicide.
Wow.
John is sending, really quick, John is sending thank yous to us for continuing this up. John, we do it for the team. We believe that when we are a team together, everyone achieves, everyone's voice is important, it's power in numbers.
Definitely.
It's no one person that's bigger than the team.
Right.
We have got to stick together as a team. There's no one person bigger than the team. There's no I in team. We're about team.
Yeah.
It's about the team. Thank you so much. And thank you for being part of the team.
Thank you, John. He's always here supporting. So thank you so much, John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
And it's exactly what she said. The team, everybody's got their own individual skill, individual aspect of themselves they can put into the case.
Yes, they do.
It's the smallest thing sometimes that open a case, break a case, whatever you want to call it. It's the smallest things. And if someone can see the smallest thing that is going to open this case, it's all of us in the chat, everything. We are all involved. We all want this case opened. We're all here for a reason. You're all here listening for a reason. You're not here for any other reason than for justice, because you see my videos and you see that's what I'm about. I talk about facts, the truth. And if I don't have the facts, it's an opinion. And I make sure if it's an opinion, it's a relevant opinion. I'm not going to bring you nothing. If my video says one day, I think I found the killer, best believe I have. Because I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
I'm not going to say I found him and I haven't found him. And it's about the truth. The truth, the honesty will always find the truth.
And when we
will
find,
always
and if we find, I got to piggyback off my ladies. If we find, trust me, we're going to have DNA. We're going to have the forensics. We're going to have footage. We will have everything we need.
That's
We will
right.
have everything we need if we said we found somebody.
Exactly.
We're going to have some evidence to run.
Right.
Some proofs.
I'm not going
to
to say I
that
know
won't get
who's
tossed
doing
out
that without evidence. I will never do that. It's dangerous.
Right. And
Right.
that's why I
It's
say
very-
everybody is a suspect. Everybody is a suspect that was there. If you was there, you're a suspect. If you was there when she died, you're a suspect.
And the biggest suspect is, let me find it.
And we would never place anybody at the hotel that we didn't see for our own eyes, 100%. A lot of it is
The biggest suspect is the manager. He was the first on the scene, okay? What I showed you before, arriving at a crime scene, he was the first on the scene, which means he could have attempted to destroy or remove. It says here, neither of these situations is uncommon. It's not uncommon.
The one who had an intuition that she was in the freezer after everybody had been looking for her all that time. What a game.
Just happened to know where she was. And the police are behind him, but they don't follow him into the kitchen.
He thought the police were behind him. You could hear footsteps of somebody behind you. You could see their shadow. He didn't think nobody was behind him. He just sat up there and lied.
The security guard goes out to the dock,
running
to talk
around.
To the police officer outside in the dock while the manager was in the kitchen. The security guard came out that door at the dock to talk to the police officers, and the manager comes out after him to flag him in because he's found the body. So who do you think was behind him? It was the security guard. It wasn't the police officers. Right. They would be the security guard was either covering for him or he was covering for the security guard.
Somebody covering for somebody.
Someone's covering for someone.
For somebody.
Definitely. So that dock area is so important, more important than most of the other parts of the hotel.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the first investigator. He has a different last name too. Not Detective Delacova. Not him. I spoke with him on the phone before. But that video is up when I called Detective Delacova. Yeah, that video is.
Did he actually give you the time of day?
Yeah, it's on the. It's a video on there while I'm talking to him. I'm asking him about the video footage. Are you sending copies of the video footage to people's homes? And he told me no. They created a website. You can go get it from the website. And I said, he didn't understand what I meant when I said original copies. I meant a bit by bit copy.
Right.
I didn't just mean some edited stuff they put on a website.
Right.
You were Margot.
Right.
Margot's on point here. She says, I think another reason the DNA, NDA were forced by employees of the hotel is because Rosemont Police did security for Crown Plaza. And we did see that the security officer was a police, and it's something that happens over here. That some police officers do security. It's just part. It
happens here.
So it's not
security.
Exactly. So it's not uncommon. It's not something that we don't see. So I think you could be on point there, Margot.
So the NDA, is she meaning like a non-disclosure?
What do you mean, Margot? I thought you said DNA. Like I quickly thought, like I quickly looked at it, I thought she said DNA. That's why I was like, what?
Yeah, I know. And I was thinking, it's a non-disclosure agreement. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. She's talking about a non-disclosure agreement.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's saying that the hotel made the employees sign one. And I did not.
I wonder if we can find that information and pull that up. And that would be something to find through various sources. But I want to go back to the first detective and the way he kept questioning the food and beverage manager, he kept asking him, so how were you when you discovered this body and it was your first time seeing a dead body? He kept asking him.
Right.
He interviewed him more than one time. He also asked him, so was the light on in the freezer when you went there? And I'm thinking to myself, I said, oh, so the light was on. Okay, wait a minute. They said it was dark.
They sure
It
did.
was too dark for her to see. So if it was too dark for her to see, why did the first detective ask the food and beverage manager if the light was on?
Right.
Asked him, did he turn the light on? And he said, oh, he couldn't remember. No, he didn't. You know, he just came up with story. I said, the light was on. Okay. So I saw where the first detective was going. And I said, okay, this is also the detective that did the duty to preserve for everybody. The social media sites, who was following the protocol, except for when it came to the hotel. And so I'm wondering what happened to him. Did they
I wish they would have asked him.
Selena? Did they do something to him to make him back up off of a thorough investigation? Because then everybody else come in and they start investigating. And
When did Frank leave, Kerenszharris? When did Frank leave? Was that before or after Kenneka?
No, Frank left years ago. Remember, Frank is the one that had the lawsuit against Rosemont.
That's right. That's right.
He's the one that had the lawsuit against Rosemont Police Department for corruption.
Him to cover up, right? They wanted him to cover up crimes and not investigate
murders,
certain
crimes,
ones.
And everything else. And he said, no, he's not doing it. He had too much integrity for that. He wasn't doing that.
There was
right there, that proves that that's what they do.
There was an officer, wasn't it, that committed suicide or something?
And they took the cameras. They took the cameras from the crime scene. They took the
cameras and they took
Rosemont Police Department took the cameras.
They took the steroids as well because they didn't want it to look bad.
Yeah, it was on the scene taking evidence.
Yeah. They took evidence and he was like, I'm not doing it, you know, that's the type of person I am.
We're not just anti-cops here. We're not against the cops. We are just, they just have a history of corruption.
We're just anti-bullshit.
This is their track. Right. This is their track record.
Right. That is exactly what I am anyway. Because
anti-bullshit.
A lot of it is just that. Like sometimes like you just gotta be real. Okay. Sometimes it could be a confusion. Sometimes it's a misinformation, and sometimes it's just bullshit. And a lot of it is bullshit. You know, even some of the pictures that they took as evidence, the fact that they're blurry, that can't be put as evidence. They shouldn't even be involved because it's blurred. You can't. You're not allowed to involve that as
distorted.
Evidence. It's distorted.
Yeah, it's distortion.
As the rare parking footage, that fact that that's been cut, they can put a tracker onto the car. So that they can blur that plate out, and so it wouldn't be seen. It's nothing to do with blurring that out so no one knows where he lives or anything. The cut was too big. How long did it take to reverse out of a parking space and drive off?
Right.
It was over a minute that was cut out. It's not. Trust me. When you're editing, you can track things, with objects, with whatever you want to track, and you can put a blur transition onto it and blur that out. I don't understand. That to me is corruption. And even
CEO in the chat, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. CEO in the chat, he had a good question. He said the body needs to be exhumed. Who can grant that request? Family, judge, or who? Seems like there's probable cause for exhumation.
Attorney generals can, which is why I
you want us to send those letters.
The formal complaints
right.
with the Attorney General in the state of Illinois. Get your 3 valid points together, file your formal complaint, make sure you follow up. The Attorney General is the highest law in any state. They oversee the law. That's the way it goes in the United States of America. Attorney Generals have that jurisdiction to go in, reinvestigate, open cases, say, look, this, and this, body's got to be exhumed. Judge has got to run with it. Bam.
It's interesting what you said about the difference between the UK and the USA, and I just found this on here, and it says that the crime rate is 4 times higher. The rate of assaults is up to 40 times higher.
Wow.
That is crazy. You can see on here, it says it here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So there's a lot. When people just think that there's not this corruption, there's a lot. If there's corruption going on in my country and I see it, then please understand that, I mean, you're there. You can do these protests. You can help, like Kerenszharris said. You can just give out water. You can do what you need to do. But there can be changes made. There can be changes made.
Right, we do have to show up. We have to show up. Also, let me go back to the Attorney General's statement. Okay, in the state of Illinois, it is the year for them to vote on new attorney generals. That's why I always post that information in my link. You have 2 people who are running for attorney generals in the state of Illinois, and they're both running on an anti-corruption platform. That's their platform. They're saying they're about anti-corruption. They're going to come in and deal with the corruption in the state. That's what they're going with. So while the one attorney general, while she's still there, let's make sure we continue to press her until she leaves. And then when the new one comes in, guess what? We get to do it all over again. We get to do it all over again, because the attorney general could have usurped this city of Rosemont authority and say, you know what, I'm getting ready to get my documents, hit y'all on corruption, and say, you know what, the FBI is going to come in and investigate the case. Too much corruption. I got too much documentation on you guys being corrupt for me to trust your judgment. Now, would they have probably turned around and tried to sue her? Yes, but I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, you want to sue? Whatever, do what you need to do, but I'm going to do what I need to do.
Exactly. It needs to be done. I think this is the time where we can actually make a difference. And if it is something that's been highlighted and we really want to make a change, there's too many girls going missing. There's too much crime going on in one place. And it's just a domino effect, you know? It's a domino effect of, if this has happened to Kenneka, how many situations do we not know about in the past? How many situations are going to happen from this in the future? If they know they can get away with it, you know, they're going to keep.
We also have to take into account that we have children and we have sisters, we have mothers. Exactly. And if that was one of our children, how would we want it to be handled? And that's what drives me to continue.
Definitely. And it needs, and even just the determination that her mother has. And I've said this before, the backlash that she's received from the public,
it's foolishness. It's foolishness.
It's disgusting. And she's pulled through. She's pulled through, and she's strong, and she doesn't care what people have to say. All she cares about is justice for her child. And if we put that same effort into this
and passion,
okay, this could have been solved, not solved, but it could have been on the way to have been closer to have been solved. So we need to keep that passion, and we need to reopen this case. There's no other way.
New investigation, because we don't want the same people who investigated before to investigate again.
Right.
We don't want them anymore. We want a new investigation.
Who polices the police? I'm gonna get a T-shirt with that on it. Because I want to know the police are serious. Because who polices the police? If these people are corrupt, if these people are acting in these, how are you paying, having a girl come to you for help and paying her for sex? Who is policing these people? Okay, we need to stop this. It starts at the police. I'm telling you, if we can get better police in Chicago, in Illinois, things will change. Things will completely change. Right. But at the moment, they don't care because they're all the same. There's no one.
We can get better. I got to piggyback off that. Lawmakers, if they can vote for better judges, lawmakers, from people in authority to deal with corruption, who will go in and say, you know what, I don't care if you sue me because I'm usurping your authority on a decision you made. I don't trust you. Go ahead, put your paperwork in to sue the state, do whatever you got to do. I'm still going to go ahead, not go with your judgment and say this case has got to be reopened because I can't trust you. And you put your suit in, that's fine and dandy. I'm going to do a counter suit on your department or your city. That's the way it's got to be. It's got to be somebody who's just bold enough to stand up and push back a million.
And it can be done. It can be done, okay? It's not something that's unreachable, which I think is what a lot of people are scared of. The fact that it can't, like, they don't know how to achieve it. They want it, but they shy away from it because they don't know what to do. So it's important to also get that message out there also. That's why Kerenszharris is always talking, giving you the numbers, the places to write your letters, because it can be done, okay? And it's been proven to have been done in the past. But you need patience, and you need everyone to come
pressure. We need patience and pressure.
Right. And it can happen, and it will happen. Okay, it's something where something needs to be done at some point. So why not now? Why not now?
Why not now?
We need to hashtag that too. Who polices the police? Hashtag who polices the police?
Who polices the police? And public safety, please change your name. Okay, I will put a petition up for public safety to change the name.
I know, safety.
We signed in that petition. You want to
sign? I will, seriously, because I don't understand the name. The name doesn't. It's like calling. I don't know, the most evilest man on earth, saying he's like a bunny rabbit. It's not. It doesn't make sense. You can't call them like no. Public safety. You failed.
Right.
You failed.
Right. Margaret was right. Put that pressure on them. Like I like to say, put the weight on them. Snatch the oxygen.
Yep, you do. Put that pressure. That's
out the air.
What was it you said before? I'm gonna take the taste out of their mouth. I was like,
that's right.
I was
slap the taste out their mouth.
I was like, I use that one.
And snatch the oxygen out the room.
Man, you have the best lines, I'm telling you. And I'd love to see you say that to a Rosemont public safety officer.
Me too. Karen does. She has the best sayings. Karen does.
Yes, it is 1:30 in the morning in the UK.
Okay.
So I'm gonna.
We appreciate Painting Truth. Claps.
Thank you.
Shout outs to Painting Truth. Shout outs to Margot.
Shout outs to Margot, definitely. And thank you for getting in the chat and talking to everyone, because you have so much to say that is important, and we do need you up here when you're ready to come up and talk. So yes, you have
right, Margot. We are definitely praying for you. We pray for you.
Definitely.
That is right. Well, prayers for Margot, everyone. Prayers for Margot, please, everyone.
Miss Lisa, I see you.
Miss Lita.
Yes, Lita,
Moesha,
thank you for coming.
We see everybody. Leroy, we see everybody. We can't mention everyone's name, but we see everybody. Everybody's important. We read through everything.
And you've all been sensible. You've all been so sensible, and you've had a conversation. There's not been any. This is what we keep saying. We don't need people in the chat to delete anyone out, because we have intelligent people that follow us and understand the cause, and that is really important to me personally. I'm so happy that I have people following me like that.
I would like to piggyback on that. And just say, with everything that's been going on YouTube lately, we really need to just change the direction back to the way it used to be. And I think somebody made a comment one day, and I cannot even remember who it was now, but they said, how in the beginning YouTube was driven more by the subs. You know, the subs pretty much drove YouTube, and lately it seems like a lot of it is the channel makers or the people that own the channels that are driving it. So I think we need to remember on both sides that it takes us all, the subs and the channel owners, and to have a respect for each other. And let's get, the positivity back going with the Kenneka case and on YouTube.
Right. Let's do a paradigm shift. Let's do that paradigm shift this time to shift this atmosphere towards justice 1,000,000+%. It's time to shift. It's time for a shift in the atmosphere.
To show that we can actually work together. We can work together and we can make things happen. It's not we're not just talking. This is not us just talking. We want to open the case. It's going to happen, and that's what we're here for. And everybody in the chat also agrees with us. So do the little things you can do, you can do it. It will be reopened. Stay positive and just stick as a team. We don't need to argue. We don't need to do none of that. We just need to stick to the cause. And it will happen.
Right. Pound or what is it? Hashtag who polices the police.
Yes. Hashtag
who polices the police.
The police. And if anybody knows, let me know. I want to know.
It's supposed to be tomorrow. It's supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be live again tomorrow.
Yeah, do you wanna talk about that?
Oh, we will be live tomorrow on Kerenszharris channel, the channel that I'm on. We will have some gentlemen on there. It's Father's Day, so we're gonna mix it up in the round table. Have some men. The ladies will be on there quite naturally, so we can continue to dialogue about J for K. And some things that we can do, and some things that I just want to go back and point out in regards to a hotel and corruption in the state of Illinois.
Please comment. That will be a very, very, very interesting chat also, to have some men on the chat to see, because the perspective is also so different from a man, and to see if they just look at things differently. They do, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
And the guys are so late. See, in this team, when I say together everyone achieves and together everyone's assignment is made easier, I've had I've had several men behind me backing me, and they are so laid back and just easy going, and I really appreciate them sending me. They'll send me information sometimes. They'll send me links. I have a gentleman that edits on the website for me for that I Demand Justice website. I have it is a host of great gentlemen back there too, and I would just be remiss if I did not mention the men who support the women as well as the women who support the men.
That's right. Happy Father's Day. Early Father's Day to all the
happy Father's Day.
Another thing I'm gonna say is go and check out. Don't moan at me for saying this, but Leroy Gray has some really nice videos on his channel.
Oh, okay, Leroy, I didn't know you had a channel.
He does. He has some really nice videos on his channel, and he's got a really great perspective, and that's another man that I'm talking about, where they have a different perspective, but it makes sense, and it is. Please check out his videos. They're straight to the point, and they make sense, and that's what I like. I like straight to the point. I don't like beating around the bush.
John has a channel. Somebody said John has a channel.
Yes, check John's channel out.
Okay, John. Cute.
People in the chat, because this is what I'm saying.
Post your channels in the chat so we can get to them.
Yes, post your channels. I will watch them. I will have a look at everyone's channels. I don't care. It's not information that you hold. And if you've got it, I'm watching you.
Yeah, Margot and I, we're going to get off our butts and learn how to make some videos.
Please get involved. Yes, definitely. I want guys come up with, it will be so to the power behind it as well, to where everyone involved to do videos that show and express themselves. Expression is very important, especially when it comes to the passion behind this case. It's such a sad case. You cannot fight it without having passion. Okay, so
Right.
yes, definitely get involved in. Well, if you can't make videos, you don't have to make videos for you to be as important as one of us. You don't. Like Kerenszharris was
You
saying,
don't. You can use your voice. You can get on there and talk.
People, I'm going to have
Just
subs
tell the
up
truth.
talking on the panel. I'm going to have some people who sub to me, who talk to me, who send me information on my emails, who I'm so grateful for, just like Kerenszharris is. I'm going to start having them up on the panel and talking, because I think my subs are important to me. They do have a lot of information, and I want them to talk. That is the plan.
Carlton. I was on Carlton Entertainments. I was on his channel. He has good information up too. He's funny. Carlton, the original Columbo is what he calls himself.
Oh, I think I watched him yesterday.
yeah, he's funny. He's funny.
All right, well,
please get involved. Please go and watch the live on Kerenszharris channel tomorrow. There will be a lot of information to gain from her on our channel, and from the men on Father's Day.
Us.
So please go over. Exactly, from the team, and that includes
the
team. Okay. Thank you, Margot, for coming in the chat. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you, Margot.
Thank you, everyone, for getting involved. And please, please, please go and watch her live tomorrow. Okay.
J for K.
J for K. Bye.
Bye.